I think one thing that perplexes me a lot about my encounter with that specific person is a sort of the subtle abuse that happens. Um, it's very, I don't even know how to explain it. It's one of those things that's so hidden that you don't quite tell it's happening. You just experience it internally. Um, and I think one of the first things was being starstruck. It was just being so mesmerized and so dumbfounded. Like, my God, finally somebody desires me. Um, and eventually it kind of turns into this sick, twisted relationship where you feel as though you're allowed access to someone, but not all the way. But for some reason, they're entitled to know every minute thing about you, everything you're doing, where you are, how you're doing. It's like they keep tabs on you in this really, really, really hands on kind of way. And while you're in it, this feeling of wanting to be desired, it kind of makes you feel alive. It makes you feel animated and it makes you feel stupid and head over heels, but it's so strategic and done so perfectly well that eventually when you're out of it, you realize in hindsight that it was calculated, intensely calculated to the point where it's like maniacal, it's sadistic, it's just strange. Um, I think over time, as I was progressively not only getting myself out of it, but also being literally discarded as a human being and just kind of pursuing this sort of closure and being like, hey, like, we were here, now we're here, and you're gone. Like, why did you do that? And just feeling like a ghost, just feeling like nothing I said or did mattered and like my existence was unimportant. And then throughout time, of course, through exploring and kind of going back to those places in which we quote unquote shared, um, a lot of things began to hit me. A lot of like things were kind of replaying in my brain, and I used to have a fear of going back to any of these places. And honestly, I convinced myself that I never was going to. And I said, no, I'm here. I live here too. I've been here my whole life. I deserve to be here, you know? Um, and I think through that kind of came this reclamation of power and being able to come back into myself, which took a lot of work, a lot of effort, and it was one of the most strenuous and tentative processes I've ever been through. Um, and then I found community. I found a space where I could find healing and I could find a way to feel okay and not feel like I'm being objectified or fetishized or permeated. I just felt okay. And that was the first time I'd felt that in a while. And then, guess who walks through the doors of the place in which I finally felt safe? The same guy. Um, I'm not sure how to describe how I felt. It was intoxicatingly infuriating, like to the point where I genuinely felt uneasy just being there. This place that felt made me feel calm became, again, unsafe. And I think the most devastating part was seeing him with other people and seeing such familiarity in these people and who he was dating, and then also meeting other people that had had encounters with him sexually or platonically or romantically or whatever, and them all saying like, hey, me too. So that was kind of the confirmation I needed, and so it made me feel a little less like personal about the whole thing. But at the same time, I was like, now that I have an understanding of this person and I can stand to even be near them, it's incredible that this person remained as if nothing has happened, remained as if their actions were unbeknownst to them, as if they had no clue as to what had been happening, even though I had fully disclosed my identity, I had fully disclosed everything about who I was, and they were probably one of the first people that I'd share that with. And I remember sharing like, "Hey, you do realize you're fetishizing me, right?" And getting this immediate, "No, I'm not," as if me calling them out on their bullshit was some attack. No, it's just calling you out on your bullshit. It's just that. I think through sort of seeing and meeting some of the other people that they'd been with romantically or sexually, I was like, okay, that tracks. And what also tracked is that all these people had also disappeared. All these people had also created some sort of new identity and had done whatever they had to do to get away, because he's persistent and he's reluctant. I think what made me even more upset was his support system and meeting the people that were complicit in his actions, meeting the people that were supposed to intimidate me or making me feel as though I was outnumbered or something. I mean, I found that honestly super exciting and yeah. But all in all, it was quite an experience. Quite an experience. I do figure that he's still out there doing whatever he does, and no matter how many people call him out and educate him on his oddly strange behavior, it's just not really getting through his skull. So I'll leave it at that. For me, it's a thing of the past. I'm literally so over it that it's like hilarious. And I'm not saying I'm gonna kill someone, I'm not gonna beat anyone up. But also, if I see him in that space, I don't know. Because in terms of talking about names, I'm getting to a point where I feel like names are required. But if you know, you know.